In 1989, 6 actors said goodbye to their hit show and hello to lives nobody saw coming. One raised $2 billion fighting a disease that's slowly killing him. Another formed a punk band and got arrested for unpaid debts. The youngest cast member ended up in handcuffs multiple times. And someone even used one actor's identity to commit terrible crimes. After 40 years, the truth about this beloved sitcom family is more shocking than fiction. Michael J. Fox, when Family Ties ended in 1989, was more than a TV star. He was a household name. By then, he had already won 3 Emmy Awards and a Golden Globe for his role as Alex P. Keaton. Everyone knew him for his quick wit, charm, and unstoppable energy. His career was soaring, and it felt like nothing could slow him down. But then life took a turn that nobody saw coming. In 1991, while working on the movie Doc Hollywood, Fox noticed a strange tremor in his left pinky finger. It felt small, but it didn't go away. Doctors told him what was wrong. At just 29 years old, he had young-onset Parkinson's disease. It was a serious illness that usually affected people much older. Doctors told him that in just a few years, he might not be able to work at all. The news was crushing, especially at the height of his fame. For 7 years, Fox kept his illness a secret. Many people, even some of his co-workers, had no idea. During that time, he kept working as hard as ever. He starred in movies like For Love or Money, The American President, and The Frighteners. In 1996, he returned to TV in the hit show Spin City as Deputy Mayor Mike Flaherty. The role earned him more awards, another Emmy, 3 Golden Globes, and 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards. But as time passed, his symptoms became harder to hide. By 1998, Fox decided it was time to go public. The world was shocked by the news. Instead of pulling away, he faced it head-on. In 2000, he started the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. What began as a personal mission grew into something huge. The foundation became the largest nonprofit funding Parkinson's research. Since its launch, it has raised more than $2 billion and driven major progress in finding new treatments and diagnostics. Fox's honesty changed the way people talked about Parkinson's. By sharing his story and his struggles, he was open about battling depression and alcohol abuse after his diagnosis. He made it easier for others to speak up. Researchers now credit his advocacy for helping find new biomarkers and therapies. It wasn't long before Parkinson's was seen as a serious research priority around the world. Fox's road has never been easy. The disease has caused serious injuries, including broken bones in his shoulder, elbow, hand, and even his face from losing his balance. He's had infections and surgeries. Everyday life is a challenge, and he now relies on aids to help prevent further falls. Parkinson's is still kicking my ass, he said. Honestly, I won't win at this. I will lose, but there's plenty to be gained in the loss. Meredith Baxter, once America's favorite TV mom on Family Ties, played Elise Keaton, the caring and open-minded mother that everyone loved. But after the show ended in 1989, her real life turned into a story just as dramatic as anything on screen. In 1999, at the age of 52, Baxter was told she had early-stage breast cancer. It was a terrifying moment. 5 years earlier, she had played a cancer patient in a TV movie called My Breast. Now it was happening to her. At first, she didn't want surgery. She tried changing her diet and seeing alternative healers, but none of that worked. Finally, after her children begged her to do the right thing, she agreed to surgery. She had 2 lumpectomies, and they successfully removed the cancer. Around the same time, she had a breast reduction. For years, she had been the target of unwanted attention and crude remarks. This part of her recovery brought relief as well. Throughout it all, she spoke honestly about what was going on. Many women stayed silent about cancer then, but not Baxter. She inspired other women to take control of their health and speak up. Her honesty didn't stop there. In 2009, when she was 62, she appeared on the Today Show and shared a very personal truth. After 3 marriages to men, she had realized she was a lesbian. She called it a late-in-life awakening. This has only been for the past 7 years, she explained. It wasn't that she had been lying all her life. It was just that it took her years to truly understand herself. Rumors had been swirling after she was seen on a lesbian cruise, so she decided to speak up on her own terms. Her 5 children weren't surprised. Her oldest son simply said, "I knew when she told him." In 2013, she married Nancy Lawcatch in a quiet ceremony in Los Angeles. It was her 4th wedding, but it felt completely different. Lawcatch was a contractor, and they had been together since 2005. Baxter said this was the first time she truly understood why people talk about the joy of marriage. Being with Lawcatch also helped her recover from the painful past. That past was revealed in 2011 when she wrote her memoir, Untied. In the book, she told readers that her second husband, actor David Birney, had emotionally and physically abused her. Birney denied it, but she was clear. Alcohol had been her way of coping with the pain. She drank heavily during their years together, but had been sober since 1990. Even as she faced all these struggles, Baxter kept working throughout the 2000s. She appeared in guest roles on shows like Cold Case and acted in TV movies and holiday specials. Off-screen, she became an advocate for causes close to her heart. Her experience with cancer made her a strong voice for women's health, and her coming out inspired many in the LGBTQ community. Through it all, she stayed true to herself. Justine Bateman, once best known as Mallory Keaton, the fashionable sister on the hit sitcom Family Ties from 1982 to 1989, earned both Emmy and Golden Globe nominations for that role. But when the show ended, things changed. Hollywood struggled to see her as anything but Mallory. The roles dried up, even though she appeared in shows like Arrested Development, Desperate Housewives, and Californication. She never felt satisfied with her career, so at 46, she did something bold. Bateman went back to school at UCLA in 2012. Despite being told her GPA wasn't high enough, she took math and coding classes to get into the computer science and digital media management program. In 2016, she graduated. It wasn't just a hobby. Bateman wanted to help drive technology's impact on entertainment. With her new skills, she directed her first film, Violet, which premiered at South by Southwest in Toronto in 2021, starring Olivia Munn and Justin Theroux. The movie earned an 82% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and critics praised its bold style and psychological depth. Before that, her short film 5 Minutes had already won awards at the 2017 Toronto International Film Festival. Bateman also wrote 2 best-selling books. Fame, The Hijacking of Reality, came out in 2018 and explored our obsession with celebrities. Face, 1 Square Foot of Skin, followed in 2021 and took a brave look at aging and beauty standards. Both received critical praise and made Bateman a respected cultural voice. She hasn't been shy about challenging Hollywood. In a 2023 interview, she told the story of Googling herself at 42 and seeing "looks old" as a top search. It upset her, but she decided not to fight aging. "I think my face represents who I am," she said. "I like it." She often criticizes the industry's addiction to plastic surgery, saying that trying to look forever young erases the wisdom that comes with age. And her fight goes beyond beauty. In 2025, she will help launch the Credo 23 Film Festival in Los Angeles. The festival celebrates human creativity and rejects AI-generated content. Bateman, along with Juliette Lewis and Matt Weiner, believes AI steals other people's work and will push real artists aside if no one speaks up. Tina Yothers was once the quick-witted Jennifer Keaton on Family Ties. When the show ended in 1989, she could have followed many child stars into chaos, but she chose a very different path. Her story took surprising turns that most people never expected. She had started acting at the age of 3, but after Family Ties, she decided Hollywood wasn't for her. Instead of chasing more roles, she left the spotlight and became a punk rocker. In the early 1990s, she formed a band called Jaded with her brother, Corey. They weren't just a hobby. They put out an album and even toured with Menudo. Fans were shocked to see her switch from wholesome TV star to edgy musician, especially with her jet black hair. It was a bold reinvention, yet trouble still found her. In November 2001, a Beverly Hills judge issued a $20,000 warrant for her arrest after she failed to show up in court. The issue was a debt of over $7,000 to a public relations firm that had promoted her band. Even someone who had been so grounded couldn't escape the pitfalls of show business. It was a reminder that child stars face serious struggles even long after the cameras stopped rolling. Still, Tina kept going. In 2006, she appeared on VH1 Celebrity Fit Club and lost 42 pounds. That was over 21% of her body weight, a record on the show at the time. Fans could hardly recognize her after such a big change. Later, she joined Celebrity Wife Swap, trading lives with comedian Niecy Nash. The world saw a very different Tina, one who raised chickens on a small farm and kept a warm, quirky home. By then, Tina had built a quiet life. In 2002, she married electrical contractor Robert Kaiser and became a stepmom to his twin sons. In 2005, they had a daughter, Lily. Tina focused on family more than fame. She also wrote a book, Being Your Best, Tina Yothers' Guide for Girls, hoping to encourage young women. Even though her life took some strange turns, her commitment to personal growth and helping others has never faded. When Family Ties ended in 1989, most people thought Michael Gross would slowly disappear from the spotlight. After all, his character, Stephen Keaton, was a gentle, liberal dad everyone loved. But Gross's career took a surprising turn. Instead of fading away, he became one of the most versatile actors from the show. The most unexpected part of his career came the day after Family Ties wrapped. Gross jumped straight into filming Tremors in 1990, going from America's favorite TV dad to Burt Gummer, a paranoid, gun-toting survivalist, was a huge change. Tremors, a mix of horror and comedy, became a cult hit with 7 movies and a TV series. Gross appeared in every single installment, and fans kept coming back to see his wild-eyed character hunt monsters. Gross himself said he felt like the luckiest man alive. It was strange to be known by 2 different generations, one for playing a kind father and the other for playing a crazy gun lover. His role in Tremors 3, Back to Perfection in 2001, even won him a Video Premiere Award for Best Actor, a rare honor for a direct-to-video movie. And he didn't stop there. Gross kept working across all kinds of shows. You could see him on ER, The Drew Carey Show, CSI, New York, How I Met Your Mother, and Boston Legal. He also appeared in movies for television, acting alongside big names like Raquel Welch, Angela Lansbury, and Bette Davis. Beyond acting, he has narrated audiobooks, hosted documentaries, and even worked as a spokesperson for railroad safety. Gross has a real passion for trains. He owns part of the Santa Fe Southern Railway, is an amateur railroad historian, and collects railroad antiques. Since 2009, he's been the celebrity face of the B&O Railroad Museum in Baltimore. He even hosts their YouTube channel and shares his love of trains with new audiences. While Hollywood is often filled with short-lived relationships, Gross has been married to casting director Ella Bertrand since 1984. They raised 2 children together, and their home life has stayed private and stable. Gross also has family ties to showbiz through his sister, Mary Gross, who was on Saturday Night Live, and his cousin, actor Ron Massack. His story is full of surprises. Growing up in Chicago, he even joined a gang during high school before turning his life around. He became senior class president and eventually earned an MFA from Yale. That kind of personal change matches the strange and unpredictable path his career would take. Brian Bonsall was only 5 years old when he joined Family Ties in 1986. Overnight, he became famous as Andy Keaton. Audiences loved him, and he even won 3 Young Artist Awards. After that, his career kept going strong. He played Alexander Renko, Worf's son, on Star Trek, The Next Generation between 1992 and 1994. In 1992, he took a darker turn in Mikey, a horror film that told the story of a dangerous child. The movie was so controversial, it was pulled from shelves in the UK after the real-life murder of James Bulger. Even so, Bonsall kept working and appeared in Disney's Blank Check in 1994, making him one of the most recognized child actors of his time. But by 1995, he decided to leave Hollywood. He was just 14. He moved with his family to Boulder, Colorado, and graduated high school in 2000. Music became his focus, and he started punk bands like Late Bloomers, Thruster, and the Light on Atom Stereo. Later, he joined the Ataris. In 2016, on the surface, it seemed like he'd left his past behind, but Bonsall was also battling serious problems. Drug and alcohol addiction took control of his life. Between 2007 and 2010, he was arrested multiple times for assault and drug violations. In 2009, he hit a friend with a broken stool, leading to felony menacing and third-degree assault charges. Instead of going to jail, he was ordered into treatment and put on probation. The judge recognized that addiction was driving his actions. His troubles ran deeper than that. In jail in 2004 for a DUI, he met a fellow inmate named Nathan Lowe. Lowe became fixated on Bonsall. After Lowe was released, he began impersonating Bonsall in shocking ways. He copied his tattoos and pretended to be him to attract women. Over a 12-year period, Lowe assaulted at least 7 women before being sentenced to 274 years in prison in 2019. Bonsall has talked about the guilt he carries because Lowe used his name and fame to harm others. Those girls, Bonsall said, By 2016, Bonsall had hit his lowest point. Drinking and self-destruction had taken over his life. But something finally clicked. He knew that if he didn't stop, he might not survive. He chose sobriety, and by 2025, he had been clean for nearly a decade. In 2017, he married Courtney Tuck. 2 years later, they had a son named Oliver. Bonsall began a quiet new chapter, focusing on his family and his music. Occasionally, he appears at fan conventions, but mostly he stays out of the spotlight. Mark Price was once known simply as Skippy, the awkward kid next door on Family Ties. But his real life after the show took him on a wild and surprising ride. When the series ended in 1989, he didn't slow down. Instead, he jumped straight into a completely different world. Before Family Ties was even off the air, Price had already taken a bold leap into horror. Back in 1986, he played Eddie Ragman Weinbauer in Trick or Treat, a cult classic full of heavy metal, evil spirits, and rock star cameos from Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons. This wasn't the nerdy Skippy people knew. This was a teenager caught up in a supernatural nightmare. Fans never forgot it, and Price still appears at horror conventions today. On Halloween 2024, he's even doing a live commentary at Chicago's I.O. Theater to talk about making the movie and working with these rock legends. When Family Ties wrapped up, Price kept looking for new paths. Between 1989 and 1992, he hosted Disney Channel's game show Teen Win, Lose or Draw, becoming a friendly face to a new generation. Around that time, he was offered a Family Ties spin-off centered on Skippy as a stand-up comic. Incredibly, he said no. Looking back, Price admits it was a mistake, especially knowing how much it could have boosted his career. But he didn't stop pushing himself. He focused on stand-up comedy instead, performing with big names like Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, and touring with Weird Al Yankovic and Carrot Top. He became a regular at Harrah's Las Vegas for over 15 years, an amazing run for any comedian. Price also moved behind the camera, creating shows for Disney Channel, Food Network, Animal Planet, GSN, and Showtime. One of his most notable gigs was producing TBS Midnight Money Madness and making Green Collar Comedy for Showtime, a comedy special with an environmental twist. When live venues shut down during COVID-19, Price switched gears again. Instead of giving up, he hosted a daily 80s radio show on WRRO in Florida, keeping his fans entertained. By 2023, he'd also become the commercial face of Insurance King and announced 2 new television projects. Even after decades in the business, Price continues to evolve. Scott Valentine will always be remembered as Nick Moore, the funny, goofy character from Family Ties. But his life after the show was anything but simple. Many people thought he would jump into leading roles as soon as the show ended. Instead, his career took a series of unexpected turns. When Family Ties was at its most popular, NBC tried to create spin-offs built around his character. The first one was called Taking It Home, but it was canceled in 1986 after the sudden death of co-star Herschel Bernardi. Another idea was to move Nick to New York in a Friends-style comedy, but it never went further than the early planning. The third spin-off, The Art of Being Nick, actually made it to air. It featured a young Julia Louis-Dreyfus and even came in second in its time slot, but NBC still decided not to make it into a full series. That decision left Valentine feeling frustrated and wondering what was next. His path to fame had already been tough. Back in 1981, Valentine was hit and dragged by a truck. The accident left him recovering for 3 years. When he finally moved to Los Angeles in 1984, he was determined to succeed. His role on Family Ties was only meant to last 1 episode, but fans loved him so much that he became a regular. Even so, he sometimes joked that playing Nick wasn't very creative. He was paid well to grunt his way through most scenes. After Family Ties, Valentine appeared in guest spots on shows like CSI New York, News Radio, and JAG. He also showed up in straight-to-video movies and cult favorites like My Demon Lover and The Unborn 2. On top of that, he did voice acting as a Phantom in Phantom 2040 and Meadowlark in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. These roles weren't enough to keep his career going forever. As the acting job slowed, Valentine decided to move behind the camera. He produced shows and ran his own production company. But his biggest surprise came in 1999. That year, he made a bold jump into finance and real estate as an equity investor and independent banker. By 2003, he was a managing partner at Merit Capital. In 2005, he became a director at Excelsior Capital Partners, a small firm that focused on renewable and sustainable energy. Going from sitcom star to financial executive wasn't something most people would have expected, but Valentine showed that he could do more than act. His personal life also had its share of ups and downs. In 1985, he married actress Kim Denise Stevenson, and they had 4 sons together. The couple stayed married for almost 30 years before divorcing in 2012. Nearly a decade later, in 2021, Valentine married Jennifer Wood, someone he had known from his hometown of Saratoga Springs. It felt like a fitting way to close one chapter of his story and begin another. Tracy Pollan was born on June 22, 1960, in a warm, close-knit Jewish family on Long Island, New York. She attended the Dalton School in Manhattan and trained at the Lee Strasberg Institute because acting was always in her heart. Her big break came when she was cast as Ellen Reed, Alex P., Keaton's girlfriend, on the hit show Family Ties from 1985 to 1987. She shared the screen with Michael J. Fox. The chemistry was obvious, and Fox even asked the producers to give her the part. But they weren't a couple yet. Both were seeing other people at the time. That changed in 1987, when they reunited on the set of Bright Lights, Big City. Sparks flew, and Fox proposed that same year. On December 26, 1987, they were married. On July 16, 1988, they had an intimate ceremony at the West Mountain Inn in Vermont, with famous guests, yet it felt personal. Life took a serious turn 3 years later. Fox was just 29 when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. In 1991, he told Pollan the news, expecting her to panic. Instead, she whispered, "In sickness and in health." Fox has often said that he would have understood if she left, but she never did. She stood by him as his illness progressed, becoming his partner and his rock. More than 35 years later, they are still together. They have 4 children. Sam, born in 1989. Twins Aquina and Skylar, born in 1995, and Esme, born in 2001. The family kept a low profile, rarely stepping into the spotlight except for brief public appearances or Fox's 2023 documentary Still, a Michael J. Fox movie. Pollan didn't give up her career. She acted in acclaimed shows like Law and Order, SVU, earning an Emmy nomination. She appeared in movies like A Stranger Among Us in 1992 and more recently in Inventing Anna in 2022. Away from the screen, she wrote 2 best-selling cookbooks with her family, The Pollan Family Table, 2014, and Mostly Plants, 2019, inspired by a deep passion for health and tradition. More quietly, she became a force behind the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, helping raise over $1 billion for research, all while making sure her family felt loved and grounded. In 2023, she and Fox moved to Malibu after years in Manhattan, starting a new chapter together. Courtney Cox's rise after Family Ties was equally surprising. She had played Lauren Miller during the show's final seasons, but her real breakthrough came years later, in 1994. She became a household name as Monica Geller on Friends. The show ran for 10 years and was seen in more than 100 countries. By the final 2 seasons, she and her co-stars were earning $1 million per episode. Cox took home about $90 million from the show and still earns about $20 million a year from reruns. Cox kept moving. She became a horror icon as Gale Weathers in Scream, starting in 1996. That franchise earned millions and is still going strong. Even as the Scream movies kept killing off characters, her character survived every film, including Scream 7, which is set for 2026. Her personal life had its ups and downs. She married David Arquette in 1999 after they met on screen. They had a daughter, Coco, in 2004. Cox suffered 8 miscarriages before and after that pregnancy. Even so, they stayed together until they divorced in 2013, though they remain close co-parents. Her early life shaped her too. Her parents divorced when she was 10, which left her shaken. Her father's regrets stayed with her, as did her own struggles with relationships. But she kept going. After Friends, she shined in Cougar Town from 2009 to 2015, earning a Golden Globe nomination. She also directed her own feature film, Just Before I Go, 2014, and took on game show production. More recently, she starred in the 2022 horror comedy series Shining Vale, playing a troubled writer. The role felt close to home, drawing on some of her own personal battles. Outside of acting, she launched a luxury home care brand, HomeCourt, in 2022. The products reflect her eye for beauty and her passion for design. The signature scent Cece is based on her personal perfume, and every part of the brand is built around quality and sustainability.